So Deshawn's mom, Desiree, has been trying to take Drew to court for so long, and they finally go tomorrow. And you know this man doesn't care at all because he didn't even bother to go get a collared shirt from Walmart or a Goodwill. He literally showed up in the same attire that we see him in every time he's in Stephanie's videos. The judge even had to tell him to take his hood off. So Desiree got to go up and speak against why he has been withholding Deshawn for 3 years. Not only that, but Anita, the baby mama of his oldest child that he does not pay child support or see, also went up to speak and present evidence against Drew for basically being a DB dad.
Drew Jenkins is not going to lose custody. A lot of people are saying that he is, and it's just clout, clickbait material. I wholeheartedly believe that they're going to do 50-50.
Stephanie is a rage baiter. If he can lift her, he can work.
This day with your
She also keeps posting D. Why do people support this family?
Older than they are today.
I wish she'd rage bait us with a house for those babies.
And hold them. Study their faces and little feet and pay attention.
After 3 long years of silence, court dates, and unanswered questions, the moment everyone's been waiting for has finally arrived. Desiree is stepping back into the courtroom to fight for her son, Deshawn. But don't get it twisted. This isn't your average TikTok mom drama with vague subtweets and messy lives played out in comments. This is the heartbreaking real-life story of a mother who's been shut out of her child's life without warning, and now she's finally had enough. Desiree hasn't laid eyes on her son in over 3 years, and the person many are pointing fingers at? Stephanie Jenkins, the so-called TikTok stepmom who entered Drew's life and allegedly changed everything. From the moment Stephanie came into the picture, Desiree slowly disappeared from her son's world.
Stephanie Jenkins is going to lose it. You cannot tell me that Stephanie is not the reason that Deshawn couldn't see his mother. Coming from somebody who just went through family court, that judge is setting Deshawn up to go back to his mother. That's why there's no supervised visits. It went into effect immediately for her to have visitation with him. She was granted, if everything went good, she was able to have overnight visits. She has no stipulation. She could bring him to the movies, do whatever she wants. I think it's going to be very hard for Drew and Stephanie to comply. They probably will be in contempt of court, mark my words. When that happens, it will prove alienation and they will immediately remove Deshawn and place him with his mother. I think Stephanie is somebody that wants to be in complete control. And I think it scares Stephanie for any baby mama to be involved when it comes to her King Daddy Drew. Not to mention, I think that when Deshawn is placed with his mother, the truth about certain things will come out, and that scares Stephanie and Drew. I do think that both parties should take a rug test just because of the history. But I am praying that Deshawn goes with his mom and everything is right. And I do believe she took every necessary change to make to get her child back. Because there's no way that judge would have gave her unsupervised visits if she thought anything. Let's talk about this in the comment section.
There was no legal battle at first, just a mutual understanding. After Desiree and Drew split, she was going through it, housing instability and trying to get her life together. So they agreed Deshawn would stay with Drew temporarily while Desiree got back on her feet. Simple. No court orders, no drama, just co-parenting. Until it suddenly wasn't. Visitation was supposed to continue. Desiree was meant to still be in her son's life. But that changed fast. One minute, she was seeing her child regularly, and the next, radio silence. Phone calls went unanswered. Texts were ghosted. And those promised visits, gone like they never existed. The switch flipped the moment Stephanie arrived. Suddenly, Desiree wasn't just being excluded.
Hey Stephanie, hey Drew, why don't you guys tell everybody how you took Deshawn from his mother and never gave him back? Okay, let's go back to 2020. Desiree asked if Drew could get Deshawn while she got back on her feet. Desiree faced extreme hardship while Stephanie is lying, saying that she was doing rugs. No, she was going through a hard time and asked her baby daddy to get his child so that she could get on her feet. And y'all want to know what Drew did? He blocked Desiree so that she could not get in contact with her son. And no, Drew does not let Deshawn see his mother at all. And y'all are probably wondering, how do you know all of this? Well, maybe because Desiree has a GFM so that she can try and get help to get her son back. Desiree has literally worked so hard to get back on her feet just for Drew to take her son from her. Y'all are so quick to go and give the resilient Jenkins views, but what about this mother that is in desperate need of getting her son back?
She was being erased, and with zero explanation. No court documents, no official reason, just complete emotional and physical cutoff. But Desiree never gave up. For 3 years, she kept knocking on a door that no one on the other side wanted to open. She was left wondering if her son was okay, if he even remembered her voice or her face. And behind it all, it felt like Stephanie had taken full control, not just over Drew, but over Deshawn's access to his own mother. So when Desiree finally had enough and filed for custody, the court didn't want just stories or hearsay. They wanted proof, action. Both parents were given a path forward, attend mediation and complete parenting classes. The goal? To see who was genuinely ready to show up for Deshawn, not just talk the talk, but actually walk it. And Desiree showed up. Every class, every session. She took notes, paid attention.
I just want to say this, Sean, Mom is thinking about you, and when you come back to me, you're going to have the best birthday ever. Ever! We're going to party like it's 1999, y'all. Yay!
Happy birthday. I don't think any of us are getting a record contract anytime soon.
No. Girl. I just want to say thank you to all of y'all that came out and sang happy birthday to Deshawn. It's about the love. It's about showing Deshawn how loved he is. His mama was there. She, shared a beautiful sentiment in the beginning, and I just cannot wait to see her reunited with her son, and I cannot wait for us all to be able to celebrate in person and get Deshawn amazing gifts and just show him how loved he is and how thousands of people have supported him without him even knowing. So thank you guys again so much for celebrating this, and let's just keep raising awareness and being sure that these kids have the best lives possible.
And poured her energy into learning how to be the best version of herself, not just for the judge, but for her son's future. She took it seriously. Drew, on the other hand, crickets. Not one appearance, not one parenting class. He didn't even bother to give the court a reason. While Desiree was rebuilding herself for her child, Drew was acting like his kid's future was an optional event he could just skip. And let's be honest, that wasn't just lazy. That was loud and clear neglect of responsibility. If parenting was graded, Drew would be getting an F- with extra credits still pending. But for real, if you're still here, you gotta stay locked in. This story gets even messier, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single second of the tea.
They're saying that Drew is probably not even going to show up to court tomorrow because he hasn't done anything that he's needed to do to retain custody of Deshawn. He had to do mediation. He had to do parenting classes. He hasn't done any of it. And you already know Miss Stephanie is pissed because she thinks that the two baby mamas are out to destroy their perfect family. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you because I love that. I love when two women can put their differences aside. I mean, he is a DB dad, so there's nothing to fight over. The fact that they can come together and try to get Desiree some justice and to get her son back because she does have a room waiting for him to live in is awesome. And I do hope that Deshawn gets to go live with his mom, even though I know that Stephanie is probably putting shit in his head about his mom being bad and about not wanting to go live with his mom. I just know that she's doing it. But I hope this all turns out well for him. That was just a little Resilient Jenkins update.
When a parent doesn't even make the smallest effort to learn how to co-parent or create a healthier environment for their child, it speaks volumes, and not in a good way. The judge took note of it, and believe me, it didn't go unnoticed when things circled back. That lack of effort, it hit Drew like a truck when it mattered most. Now, this pretrial wasn't supposed to be dramatic, but somehow it spiraled into full-on chaos. Drew showed up by himself. No moral support, no legal backup. Stephanie wasn't allowed to participate in the proceedings since she wasn't legally involved, and only court-approved witnesses were permitted inside. You just know she was probably somewhere nearby, fuming in that dusty one-bed motel room, salty that she couldn't micromanage the moment like she always tries to do. But here's where it got even more intense. Arlita, Drew's other baby mama, wasn't there to back him up. Nope. She showed up on Team Desiree as a key witness, and she did not come to play. Alita brought receipts. 17 official documents that the judge accepted into evidence without hesitation. And we're not talking about messy texts or unclear DMs. These were hard records laying out a timeline of Drew's behavior. His repeated absences, irresponsibility, and failure to be a reliable parent. When it was Drew's chance to cross-examine her, he completely froze. The man didn't say a word.
She sent him a text. He's not responded. She let him know in that text that the reason she is calling is to see how, one, Deshaun is doing with this information, and then was very clear that because the judge wants the amount of conflict between them to simmer down, to demonstrate that to Deshaun, it would be a good idea if they could talk on the phone together and that Deshaun could hear them talking in a healthy and positive way. Literally, it can just be how's he doing today? What's he doing today? And what's he thinking about next week? The judge was clear that children are affected based on the way their parents communicate. She wants them to model healthy, appropriate conversation. Of course, Desiree is not guilty of not doing that because she hasn't been allowed to see him at all. So we're trying to start that, and that's why she's trying to reach out to him, is so that by the time of visit next Sunday, Deshaun maybe will have heard some conversations between his dad and Desiree and hear that his dad has no problems with it and is helping him understand and is getting excited about it and those things. So even if that's not the way Andrew feels about it, he needs to fake it really well and have Deshaun believe that he also wants this.
Not one question. He kept his eyes glued to the table like he was trying to disappear into it. And the embarrassment didn't stop there. Before anything even got rolling, the judge had to call him out. Drew walked into court dressed like he just rolled out of bed, hoodie up, hat pulled low, looking every bit as unbothered as he does in those cringy videos Stephanie posts online. Same crusty hoodie, same zero-effort energy. Let me tell you, if first impressions mattered in court, Drew might have shown up to a job interview in pajamas, but the judge wasn't about to let court turn into a circus. He immediately told Drew to remove the hoodie before things could move forward, and that small moment spoke volumes. It was the legal version of get your act together, and it set the tone right away. As if things weren't messy enough already, Stephanie decided to pour gasoline on the situation. While Drew was still inside the courtroom trying not to completely fall apart, Stephanie jumped on a live stream like she was auditioning for a spot on Love and Court Orders. Sitting there with her phone angled for maximum drama, she said she wished she could have been in there by Drew's side. According to her, it felt like the court was ganging up on him, as if this wasn't about custody of a real child, but some kind of tag team wrestling match. Girl, this is a hearing for a 9-year-old boy, not Monday Night Raw.
I've mentioned before, my mom and I are I'm like copy-paste of my mom, except for when it comes to her mental state. But the difference between me and my mom is that I accept when I need to work on something, and I'll work on it. You can call me crazy, I'll call myself crazy if there's something I need to work on. And then there's other things, for instance, lately I've been noticing my stinking teeth are deteriorating, and no, I don't use anything. It's genetics. I have terrible teeth when it comes to my genetics, and I was just eating, I was eating a Lara bar the other day, and a piece of my tooth is chipped right off. I'm well, that's right down memory lane, because I used to be with my mom all the time. She'd just be sitting there eating not even something that crunchy, and then just be like, a piece of my freaking tooth just chipped off. And another thing she'd always mention is she had these liquid, I don't even know, a bubble over her eyelid, or over her eye. Hold on, my baby's looking for me. Bubba's, turn back around. Yeah, mama watching. Yeah. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Okay, mama keep the door right open, okay? Anyways, she has this liquid bubble over her eye, and she would go to, I forget the word.
Arlita wasn't about to let Stephanie's version of events slide under the radar. She clapped back with a live of her own, and while her tone was chill, her words cut deep, calm, collected, but absolutely pointed. She didn't hold back, asking Stephanie directly, "What exactly were you planning to do if you had been there? What would your purpose have been?" And honestly, it's a fair question, because Drew, he sat in that courtroom like a mannequin. No reaction, no defense, not even a single question asked in his own favor. So really, what was Stephanie planning to accomplish? Flex her Facebook rants in real time? Provide backup with her motel Wi-Fi and imaginary law degree? Because she sure wasn't doing legal work. Just live stream cosplay with a side of delusion.
Thank you guys for the support, the kind words, and give you guys an update, because we did talk too. My son last night, me and his dad, who's been in his life since he was 3, literally sat him down yesterday after school. I came home from work on my lunch, and we told him what happened. We told him that his biological father went viral on TikTok, and it wasn't for good. And that he had his siblings sleeping on the floor, and that he's in a room, in a decked out room with a PS5 and flat-screen TVs. And I told him, I said I didn't want him to see that because I made a response video to how he left him, and I exposed him. He asked me, he was like, how many siblings do I have? And I said, well, you have 2 little brothers. And I said, and the person that he's with, she's currently pregnant. She's currently pregnant, and we don't know if it's a boy or girl. And y'all, when I tell you, his eyes rolled up, and he just kind of started falling, and it started making me upset. Me and him both cried. And I told him, I said, you know, like I told you before, it has nothing to do with you. It literally has nothing to do with you. Your dad made choices, and those are the choices he made. And his dad sat between us, and he held us, and then he let us have our moment together. And I just gave him the biggest hug, and I told him, I said, baby, if you need mommy to put you back in counseling, just let me know. I'm here to protect you. That is my job as a mom. As a mom, I'm here to protect you. Even though I reassure him all the time, like, you know, it has nothing to do with you. And his dad does the same thing. You tell him it has nothing to do with you. Your biological father made choices, and that's the choices he chose to make. You're still going to be bright. You're still going to be smart. You're still going to be the person you are. You're still going to be great at what you do, because it has nothing to do with you. But I am going to protect you. I am going to go to war for you. I am going to do everything. And the thing about this is, sperm donor got on this internet here and flying like he's some great dad, and he's not. He literally walked out of his life. That's why he can't tell y'all. I literally, if I wanted to, I would expose everything. But I don't want to do that because I know one day my son might see this, and I never spoke bad about his dad, or his father, excuse me. I never spoke bad about his father in front of him. So I'm not going on this internet knowing that one day he might see this, and I'm speaking crazy, and these are things that he doesn't know. So I want him to have his own opinion, his own judgment.
At this point, it wasn't even about Drew anymore. The focus should have been Deshaun, a 9-year-old boy caught in the middle of adults acting like the internet was Judge Judy. But instead of protecting his name and peace, his life became cannon fodder for messy TikTok lives and clout-chasing stepmothers playing the victim. And right on brand, Stephanie once again made it all about her. Instead of thinking about what was best for the child, she hopped online to talk about what she would have said in court, what she would have done, while completely dodging Alita's very real question. Because if Drew sat there mute, offering not even a word in his own defense, what exactly did Stephanie think she was going to contribute? A dramatic sigh? A passive-aggressive Facebook post? Honestly, that's all she ever seems to bring. Noise. Loud, unhelpful, self-serving noise. And just when you thought she'd fall back, she doubled down with a post to her Facebook subscribers. Prayers for my man. He's in court now, and I can't be there to support him. Deshaun has voiced he wants nothing to do with his biological mother. That needs to be respected. But let's pause. Deshaun is 9. He hasn't seen his mom in 3 years. That's not just separation, that's emotional erasure. And sure, maybe he said things, but are those his true thoughts, or the result of 3 years of carefully curated narratives fed to him by the adults controlling access to his mother? This isn't just about a post. It's about power. It's about influence. It's about emotional manipulation disguised as concern. A child can only choose from the options he's been given, and Deshaun hasn't even had the chance to build a relationship with his mother. Of course, he feels closer to the people he sees every day, but that doesn't mean Desiree is some stranger unworthy of his love. And then, Drew crossed a line that no decent parent should. The night before the final ruling, he went live on social media, with Deshaun right there in the background. While his son sat in full view, Drew started ranting about the case, claiming the boy didn't want to live with anyone else and only wanted to stay with his siblings. He tried to frame it like Deshaun had made a clear, mature decision. But let's be real, it was a total manipulation tactic. Putting that boy in the spotlight like that wasn't just careless, it was calculated. He was using his own child to sway public opinion and maybe even the court. That's not parenting, that's performance. And that's exactly why the court had to step in. Because when adults act like this, it's no longer about the child's best interests. It's about egos, likes, and control.
Deshaun is not allowed to go on school field trips. Not only are those kids, the resilient Jenkins kids, not taken anywhere. They still haven't even gone to urban air for all of their 3 birthdays. He isn't allowed to go on school field trips. I guess a couple weeks ago he had to miss out on his class all going to the zoo. And I think that the same goes for her girls. I'm not sure because it just came up because of court. And apparently Stephanie is also the one who gets all of the correspondence from the school. I was in the live with Desiree and a couple other people, the advocate who she was talking to yesterday, and they were going over all of the things that came out in court. And we've all known how sad it is that there's these kids, 7 people locked up in a 1-bedroom motel room, and the only time they get to go outside is when they're playing in the grass patch behind the motel that's probably riddled with needles and bottles and broken glass. But they can't even go on school trips. Like, that is so sad.
After Desiree saw that live, she could have easily clipped the footage and handed it straight to the judge as evidence. And honestly, she wouldn't have been wrong. It was textbook parental alienation. Drew wasn't just crossing boundaries, he was steamrolling them, feeding their son a version of reality where his mother was the villain and doing it in full view of the public. The manipulation was blatant, and anyone watching could see just how damaging that moment truly was. Then came the climax of the whole mess. The courtroom held its breath as the judge prepared to deliver the final ruling, and despite everything Drew had done, or rather hadn't done, things didn't shake out the way most expected. Let's review. Drew skipped all his court-ordered parenting classes. He refused mediation. He openly admitted he was unemployed. He relied completely on Stephanie, not just emotionally, but financially. And even with all of that stacked against him, the judge still didn't remove Deshaun from the home right away. Why? Because Deshaun had already spent 3 consistent years in that same environment. And the court, despite all the chaos, wasn't willing to risk even more emotional disruption by abruptly placing him in a new home. It wasn't an endorsement of Drew's behavior, it was damage control. The court knew the child had already been through enough.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to tell you right now that Stephanie Thompson and Drew Jenkins are going to bolt. They're literally going to pack up and move. That's my prediction right now. And talking to Arlita, I guess he hasn't been answering any text messages. He's not trying to give Desiree any chance to maybe talk to Deshaun on the phone before they have their meeting on Sunday. Like, he's not being cooperative at all. And then just the vibes of Stephanie's videos of how she's saying that their iCloud's been hacked and there's been weird people at the motel. They pulled the kids out of school. Like, things have gotten sticky for them. Like, with I believe, Arlita has another court date coming up with Drew in July. And then they have the other court date with Desiree coming up. I'm telling you right now, they're going to pack those kids up and they're going to go on the run.
But let's be clear, this wasn't a win for Drew. Not even close. The court made some powerful decisions that marked the beginning of serious change. Desiree was officially granted unsupervised visitation every weekend. That means she can finally spend time with Deshaun, just the 2 of them. No supervision, no interference. And legally, Drew has to comply. If he tries to ignore it, block her, or dodge her calls, he could be held in contempt of court. That means fines, or even jail. After fighting so hard just to see her son, this was a massive step forward for Desiree. Because let's be real, gaining custody isn't easy, and it sure as hell isn't fast. But it's finally moving in the right direction. Not only can she now reconnect with Deshaun every week, but the judge also made it crystal clear. Stephanie needs to stop. No more talking about Desiree, no more posting Deshaun, no more drama, period. And yes, we know Stephanie is probably spiraling over that, but hey,
Stephanie cannot handle not having control. Something weird is going on in that motel. There's some sort of neglect or abuse going on. And Deshaun now being able to see his mother and see a counselor and things like that is going to basically bolster everything that's happening. Like, there's no longer the control. Something weird's going on, whether it's rugs, something. And I think that they know that Deshaun will literally be the downfall of everything. Whatever when people are just like bad people and they are tweakers or something and they have they're trying to hide whatever's going on. They isolate themselves and their kids from everyone else because they know the kids are going to talk. That's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now. I wouldn't be surprised that they're gone by next week. gone. And y'all keep saying like, well, they only have one car. What has stopped them to move for the first time? Like one car that doesn't fit them all. That ain't gonna stop shit. That's not gonna stop shit. These two are determined to continue whatever the fuck they got going on. And they're determined to not have anybody, including the law, tell them how they should live their life.
But hey, court orders aren't suggestions. They're legally binding. Now here's where it gets real. In just 5.5 weeks, they'll be back in court. And this time, it's for full custody. The judge will reevaluate everything. These weekly visits might be short now, but they could lead to overnights, and eventually full custody if Deshaun starts trusting and bonding with his mom again. And the best part? The judge wasn't fooled by Drew's act for a second. When asked about his income, he finally admitted the truth. He has no job, no income, and relies completely on Stephanie to support him and Deshaun. But plot twist, because they're not married, her money doesn't legally count. So essentially, Drew is jobless and has no means to provide for his son. Not just a bad look. Bad parenting, plain and simple. Stephanie, for her part, has now been silenced by law.
Drew Jenkins posted that he's doing food delivery this morning. He posted, come with me on a short 3-hour delivery, whatever the fuck. Kind of gives it he's copying Bootstrap Becky, but whatever. Yeah. Wonder what's got them so spooked that they're now talking about housing and he's delivering food again. Something's definitely going on. It just gets weirder and weirder by the post. Anyways, if you're in that area, I would 100% watch out getting food today. We've seen the way they live. Do you want them delivering your food?
If she so much as breathes about Desiree or Deshaun on TikTok, Facebook, or anywhere else, it could tank Drew's case. And this time, the court made it official in writing. So, yes, for now, Deshaun is still living with Drew. But that door is wide open for change. July could be the game changer. That's when the court looks at the full picture again. And if Desiree keeps doing what she's been doing, showing up, putting in the work, proving she's the stable parent, she could finally get her son back for good. At the end of the day, this was never about clout or TikTok fame. Desiree didn't get here by going viral. She got here by doing the work. And the court saw that. This wasn't a full win just yet, but it was a turning point, a reminder that the truth does come to light, and real parents don't just talk, they show up. Now, we want to hear from y'all. Do you think Deshaun should have been returned to Desiree immediately? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're invested in this case like we are, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that bell so you don't miss the next major court update. We'll be right here breaking it all down. Until then, thank you for watching and sending love to Desiree as she continues this fight.